Let me guess. You're Igor, so that makes me Dr. Predenstein. He's been called up. Called up. Preds tie the Los Angeles Kings 1-1 after regulation and overtime Saturday night in Los Angeles, California, inside Crypto.com Arena. And then everybody's hands go up, way up, as the Nashville Predators defeat the Los Angeles Kings 1-0 in the gimmick, thus winning the game 2-1. 26 saves by Kevin Lankinen, plus 3 more stops in the shootout, help ensure the Preds got 2 points in this game. Oh, what a godsend Kevin Lankinen has been when called upon to fill in for UC Saros this season. Remember how when you were a little kid and your parents took you to a swimming pool and your mom wanted you to learn in the shallow end or take swimming lessons and gradually be able to trust you going into the further end of the pool? Well, your dad in most cases would have been quite content to just throw you in a deep end and figure things out. Well, that's what the Preds are doing right now, as, yeah, they're not officially eliminated from the playoffs, but they think they're far enough out that they're not going to make it. So they're calling up the kids and letting them gel together and figure things out, thus being in the deep end against one of the better teams in the Western Conference right now, the Los Angeles Kings. And wouldn't you know it, the Preds add another youthful voice from Milwaukee to this lineup. The latest call-up is Igor Afanasyev. I think I said that right. I'll get that with practice. He's a second-round pick by the Preds back in the second round of the 2019 draft, developing quite nicely under the tutelage of Carl Taylor, Admirals head coach, and he will be wearing number 70. Now, if you've watched my videos in the past, I have been keeping track because I want to do a video one day if the Preds ever reach every Preds number worn from 1 to 98. Obviously, we know why 99 will never be worn. But with Afanasyev being the first Preds player to ever wear the number 70, that reduces the number of jerseys never worn by the Preds to now 16. The Kings are without former Preds player Kevin Fiala for this game, and funny that essentially that initial trade that sent Kevin Fiala to Minnesota in return for Matt Granlund is now essentially Kevin Fiala for a second-round pick. As I said at the beginning of this video, the Preds elected to go with Kevin Lankinen as their starter, resting UC Saros for Anaheim Sunday night, and the Kings selected Phoenix Copley. And we all know what happened the last time the Kings played the Preds back in Nashville. After that team meeting, Copley got chased in the first couple minutes. Well, the Preds wouldn't be so lucky to chase Copley that quick in this game, as through almost the first half of the first period, this game was relatively close. By the end of it, the shots would be 10 apiece, and neither team is able to get the break just yet. Unfortunately, though, the Kings would score first in this game because almost 9.5 into the first period, play in the Pred zone, off to the corner to Kevin Lankinen's left, and Luke Evangelista is the one who is caught out of position because the puck eventually makes it over to Mikey Anderson, who has all day to snap a shot past Lankinen, giving the Kings a 1-0 lead. Kings would get the first power play of the game when Dante Fabro roughed up Gabriel Velarde, and though there was retaliation on the Kings' part, it was Fabro who started it, and he would be the only one to get a penalty. The refs would be selective over what retaliation they would call and what they wouldn't in this game, but that's just something Fabro's got to learn, especially since he's going to be staying in the Preds system for at least another year after this year. Preds would kill off that Kings power play just about the 2-minute mark left in the first period. Roman Josi would come also close to helping Igor Afanasyev in his first game score his first goal, but Copley's able to cover up. But right before the end of the period, just before the 1-minute mark remaining in the first period, delayed penalty call on the Kings. It's Alex Iafolo for tripping Ryan McDonough. And right off the face-off, immediately when the power play commences, Cody Glass wins the face-off back to Tommy Novak, who's able to keep the puck in the zone, and he just takes a shot on net through a screen provided by both Kings and Preds players. It beats Phoenix Copley. It's in the net. The Preds have tied this game at 1. Tommy Novak's 10th of the season, and like I said, pretty even period overall. And the Preds are fortunate, they should feel fortunate, in Los Angeles of all places, to be tied at 1 after the first. And then the waiting game would ensue, because after those first 2 goals in the first period, we would have to wait a while for either of these teams to score of consequence. But early in the second period, the Preds, with the early pressure, they're able to also kill off Kings power play again, with Roman Josi having been called for holding Alex Iafallo's stick. The Preds were able to kill off all 3 LA penalties for this game, and overall in the second period, the Preds would outshoot the Kings 8-6, but after 40 minutes, this game is still tied at 1. Even game again in the third period early on, and we're wondering who is going to blink first in this game. Then there's a scary moment when Roy of the Kings crunches Evangelista into the boards, and then once play stops and there's retaliation and everything, they give each team a penalty to make it 4-on-4. Roy for the boarding on Evangelista, and Sherwood for roughing Trevor Moore. Regular viewers of my channel know I haven't been the biggest fan of John Hines' roster alignments, whatever he wants to juggle with this team, and he picks selectively when to complain, but I'm all for him complaining about this call. This situation with what Roy did to Evangelista, the Preds should have been on a power play 2 minutes at least. I don't know what the refs were doing giving it 4-on-4. We play out the 4-on-4 stretch to no avail. No one scores. The Kings slowly cranking up the pressure. They would outshoot the Preds by a total of 8-7 for the third period. With about 6 minutes and change remaining in the third period, Kempe of the Kings gets called for roughing Jeremy Lauzon, and it was for taking his helmet off during a skirmish when he didn't like something that Lauzon did. Yeah, it was probably incidental, but I'm just going to chalk that up for the fact that the refs didn't call the Preds for a power play with the Evangelista hit. Unfortunately, though, Phoenix Copley is the best Kings player on the ice during that penalty kill, and he's able to deny the Preds the chance to go ahead 2-1. And there's a golden opportunity with over 4 minutes left to go in regulation. Matt Duchene with a steal behind the Kings net to Phoenix Copley's left, but he can't get the puck to settle down for him and not able to tuck it in. And then with just over 2.5 minutes left to go in regulation, props to Barry V on Twitter for predicting that this would happen after the Lauzon penalty. The refs would be looking for an even up call for the situation of late in a game, and Yakov Trenin gets called for tripping Quinton Byfield. And in that moment, when that penalty got called, no, I don't have an issue with the penalty, but I was kind of thinking back to the Toronto game. I was thinking, oh goody, is this where the Kings are going to score and the Preds are going to get no points? And the first minute of that Kings power play was scary because they kept it inside the Preds zone the entire time. I'm like, just kill it, just kill it, just kill it, just kill it, just kill it. And the first minute passes. And then the second minute passes. And the Preds have killed off, maybe when we look back on the season, we'll see what happens come mid-April. Perhaps the biggest penalty kill in this season's history. And we play on, still tied at 1, no damage done. Just after the penalty is killed, though, the Kings with one more chance in the Preds zone, and it's former Pred Victor Arvidsson with a shot that rides up Yakov Trenin's stick and splash! Hits Ryan McDonough in the face. Not again! McDonough immediately goes to the Preds locker room to get attended to. We hope he's okay. He's been through enough this season. Clock winds down in regulation. These two teams, tied at 1, are off to overtime. In overtime, chances by both teams throughout the first 2 minutes that I couldn't keep track of who had the best ones, but just overall know the fact that this was a much better Preds overtime performance than whatever the heck that was in Vancouver last Monday. Preds would outshoot the Kings overall for the 5-minute overtime by a total of 5-3. Ultimately, the best chances for both teams would be about 80 seconds left in overtime. Adrian Kempe, who was able to Deke right on in and snap one on Lankin, who denies it. Then in a dying seconds of overtime, what a way to potentially walk off this game. Yossi, Duchesne, back to Thomasino. Oh, and Phoenix Copley saves it. And these two teams can't deny things in the first 65 minutes. Tied at 1 after that, and we're off to the gimmick. In the shootout, the Kings elect to go first, and they go with Gabriel Velarde, who goes in on Kevin Lankin, who denies him. And then first up for the Preds is Matt Duchesne, who pulls his getting pretty patented move where he waits for the goalie's 5-hole to open up, snaps it before Copley can react. Preds lead 1-0 after the first round, and then in the second round, Adrian Kempe goes, but Lankinen denies him too. And here, potentially to walk it off after recently coming back from injury, Philip Tomasino, but nope, Copley denies him, giving the Kings one more chance. Oh, and look, the Kings decide to get a little cheeky and select number 33 for the Kings, Victor Arvidsson, former Pred, Victor Arvidsson, fresh off of just potentially hurting our recently traded for defenseman Ryan McDonough. Arvi, it's nice to see you, but this is a goalie you've never faced in Preds practice before. You go in on him, and Lankinen denies Arvi. No soup for you. The Preds win the shootout 1-0. Win the game 2-1. Overall, all the makings of a solid road victory for the Preds. After allowing the first goal of the game, Kevin Lankinen did not allow another shot to get by him in regulation or overtime, and he allowed nothing in a shootout. The Preds were as good as you could be on special teams when they got a clutch power play goal, and they killed off all the Kings' man advantages themselves. The Preds lost the majority of the faceoffs to the Kings, but they were more physical by dishing out more blocks and giving them more hits. Now, heading into this road trip, I'm sure you, like me, was probably expecting to have the letdown game in Los Angeles. That's natural, and we were expecting the 2 wins to come easy in Arizona. But now that that situation's flipped and they essentially got the 2 points, after all, we're back to where we were heading into the Arizona game. But now it leads us to finish off the road trip in Anaheim Sunday night before they head back home for 2 easy games against Detroit and Chicago. The Preds now have slated UC Saros to start the game in Anaheim Sunday night. That is an absolute must-win game. You've got UC Saros well rested. He hasn't played since Thursday. I know the guys might be a little tired being the back-to-back, but your number 1 goalie is well rested against a bottom 5 team in the league that is accepting of the fact that they are going to be competing for Connor Bedard in the draft lottery. You go out to the Honda Center, the Pond, Preds, and you get the 2 points. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. As always, click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really like it. You can find my social media by clicking on the channel name. Tell all your friends about Predemption. I am certainly not changing my mind on anything right now, Preds Nation, with 19 games left to go. But I just have this feeling this Preds team is not going to go quietly off into the off-season night to play golf.